G'day peeps, my name is Scripps and welcome back to another speed paint. This time around we're continuing our series of different Hollow Knight OCs that we're gonna be making for the new upcoming Silksong game. So basically if you're new to the channel or if this is your first video of this series, then basically what we do is that we sit down and we go in detail with the character design process and try to create a character that could fit almost fluently into the Hollow Knight universe in the new game. With the primary focus being different kinds of bosses that could potentially be in the game, although later on in this series I might actually expand it and just create a bunch of NPC characters, which this character is also kind of going to be if I were to create a backstory for them. But if we had to get back to the very basics that inspired me to create this specific character, and a bit of backstory behind the actual creation of the character, then the idea was that I was gonna stick to the original idea of silk and song. So I'm gonna focus a lot on different kinds of fabrics that the character could wear, and then I would also kind of try to make the character at least have some aspects that could be related to something musical. Like an instrument. In Silksong so far we've seen a lot of stuff with different bells, and that might be kind of what they mean with silk and song and music. But this time I'm not going to be focusing as heavily on the musical part as I did in the last one, where I created an entire character around the design of a lute. But this time I will give the character a hi-hat. That is what I will be basing the character design off of, the instrument, the hi-hat, which is part of a drum kit. And as I actually thought of different ways that I could implement this design into the character design in some way, then of course I thought of the more Asian hat design, and then I thought of a very specific character from an anime that I actually like a lot, who is Ozen from Made in Abyss, who's actually like a fighter, but you almost can't see her face, purely because of the gigantic hat she's wearing. And it gives off these sort of like intimidating but yet disciplined vibes from a character. And you might be kind of looking at what I'm drawing right now and think, what that doesn't really make sense, but don't worry, it's because what I'm drawing is actually a boss that can transform. Which is kind of an idea that I really liked, because I like how Hollow Knight just always surprises you or keeps you on your toes in some way. By making fun transformations or give people reasons to attack you. There's just many ways they play with transformation during their fights that I like a lot, and different like transition sequences that I like a lot. So basically the main idea of the character is that it's going to be this character that sits in the same zone or area as a sequence we see from the trailer, where Hornet is actually getting chased by a dude with like a scissor blade or something. I wanted to take inspiration from this and put her basically in the same place, like she would be a boss that appeared in that place if she were to actually be in the game. And she would actually kind of be like Hornet in ways that it's a boss that you fight, but you also interact with them just normally. You also just talk to them and speak to them, and just like communicate with them. So the first design that I'm making is actually her in her covered form, because the idea is that in some way she's hiding. I don't know, you guys could maybe expand on the story in that way, but she's basically a fugitive or a character that's hiding for some reason. Maybe she's a spy, but she's basically sitting around pretending to be this innocent little old frail lady of a bug, who's kind of like just leaning, you know, with her heavy scarf on her, with her 2 pairs of glasses on because she's got 4 eyes. But then when you interact with her in some aspect, or maybe you can talk to her for a while, and then maybe after you complete a quest or something, or show you're worthy, or something to trigger her, then she will basically unburrow herself, and it will be revealed that the bottom of the figure's form was actually like her bottom skirt, her dress, and that the whole cloth she's wrapped in is actually only covering her neck in reality. So she's actually this very tall figure who would kind of end up being the same height as the Hollow Knight from the original game. And also to make her like fit into the kind of quirky universe that Team Cherry has created for themselves, then I actually thought the idea would be pretty funny if she had a very like high-pitched, squeaky voice when she was in the ground, and then when she finally got up, she actually had this much more deeper, more fluent and much more elegant voice. And the excuse that she would use when you asked her about it would basically just be that, you know, she was stuck into the ground, so she was kind of like being squeezed all the time, so it was very hard for her to breathe. And now she's actually full and blushing in her elegant form. But yeah, this would definitely like be the beginning of a boss fight when we actually fight her in some way. I actually also thought that maybe it's because you smack off her glasses by accident or something, then she thinks you're a foe or something. There's many ways that this fight could be initiated, but I haven't really thought of that aspect yet. But I've thought a bit about the battle itself, and I thought it would be very similar to the way that Emma, the boss from Sekiro, would kind of like be difficult. And it wouldn't be because she's particularly strong, or it wouldn't be because she's like ludicrously fast or something, but the main difficulty would actually be getting used to her timing, because she would be way more in flow and kind of hesitant, and her timing would be very fluent and weird in comparison to the rest of the characters. You know, kind of like how as soon as you see like a character wind up, then they'll attack like instantly, immediately after. But here it would be much more hesitant, and there would be like a long wind-up time before she'd actually hit you. Now I know this would be hard to do with 2D animation, but still, just giving her a bit of an off timing could like be the main focus behind this character, because she would definitely be like a character who would have an untraditional fighting style, which would also make sense for her lore-wise, since who knows, she might even be like an outlander, or someone who's just hiding around, or someone who's, you know, just like a watcher, kind of like a silent protector of the world. Or not the world, that's a bit grandiose, but just someone who's silently watching, making sure everything is somewhat in balance, and she might even be working for someone. That's some lore that you guys can expand on. And you can also come up with a name for her, because that's something that, that's one of the ways that I like for you guys to interact. I could think of names for myself, and I could give like my own thoughts about a name for them, but I definitely think that you guys should participate in the creation of this character, so that's why I'm asking you guys. I kind of thought that she could be called Snare, because we've already got like part of her being like a drum kit, which is the hi-hat that she's wearing, so I kind of thought that calling her Snare would be a little less, like it would be fitting to the fact that she's already a part of a drum set, or she's wearing part of a drum set, but it wouldn't be too on the nose as like calling her, I don't know, hi-hat or something that sounds kind of like that. Okay, but now we've also reached kind of like the last part of the video, where I'll pretty much just talk about the technicalities, I guess. I don't really have a structure to these kind of videos, so sorry if it's all over the place, or if I might even be in a bit of a rush, because I am. I want to talk about the quality of the drawing overall, and the quality-wise, I'm not really that happy with it. I would have loved to put some more effort into the coloring and make it all look like nice and clean, and I also think the palette might be a little off in comparison to the other designs that I made prior, but the reason that I also got kind of a justification for why I'm hurrying in such a way, but that's because I'm actually leaving for a while, so I need to have some videos prepared, and I actually only got like a couple of hours before I need to get to the bus. Well, not a couple of hours, there's like 1 hour before I have to get to my bus, so sorry if this drawing feels a little bit rushed. I was kind of running short on time. But if there were any things that I would change about it, then would definitely be like the looks of the blade that she uses, and also kind of like make sure that she had more of a really golden and dynamic 3D looking like hi-hat. Like really put a lot of focus into the golden color, and really make her seem like she's this majestic warrior when she's finally in her final form. And I would also love to kind of like make it look like she's more feeble in her normal form, because she just like kind of looks like a wise, weird, short priest when she wears that scarf. So if I had the time to change, I would probably change some of that. But once again, I want to hear you guys critique on it, so if you got anything, I would love to hear it. Even though it's not my best drawing, I would still love to hear some advice on it. I don't hate the drawing though, not at all. I still think while it could have been done a bit better, then I still think that I'm pretty happy with the idea. I really like the idea behind this character, because I could think of so many ways that it could fit into this like a quirky and simultaneously crazy universe that Hollow Knight is, and I really do think that they could find, well, you know, with some fidgeting and with some different kinds of like changes to them, then I do still think they could find a good home in Silksong. So that was pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the drawing. I hope that I didn't speak too fast throughout this video, but once again, I am on a time crunch, so I'm trying to crank this video out as fast as possible. Sorry about that. But hopefully I'll be back and good again next time. I know I keep saying I'm busy, but trust me, there will be free time ahead for me to actually create some quality content at some point. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.